Good day everyone. So this is the continuation of our report about fostering creativity and innovation. So what we can do to create a climate that encourages creativity. So the first one, as Sir Ben said, the first one is the assign challenging work. The second one is to offer supportive supervision, and this is the third one that I am going to discuss, which is to provide an organizational and work group culture that supports and encourages creativity. In addition to supervision, creativity is influenced by overall organizational culture and climate. And according to Hollingsworth, 1989, he identified the following key elements of a creative organizational climate. The first among the 5 key elements by Hollingsworth is the trust. So this is which I believe the most important in an organization. This is where people are allowed to suggest and try new things without fear of reprisal. The second one, an organization must have an open communication. Here, everyone in the organization feels free to put forward ideas, suggestions, opinions, and is kept informed of needs and goals. Diversity. Okay, so here the organization provides for the presence of different personalities and recognition of the varying contributions that each can make to the creative process. So I have searched the term diversity and harmony. So harmony, the concept of harmony is all about difference. So a person or an organization can either be afraid of difference because their goal is uniformity, or they can also activate difference to create diversity. So in addition, diversity, it means understanding that each individual is unique and recognizing our individual differences. Okay, this can be along the dimensions of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, age, physical abilities, religious beliefs, political beliefs, or other ideologies. The fourth one is change. The organization values innovation and change, and it recognizes their importance to organizational success. We all know that change is inevitable, which means that we cannot control when change arrives. All we need to do is to be prepared and be open for it. So who are not going to be excited when we hear the word rewards? Okay, so the organization rewards creativity, including both the development and the implementation of new and useful ideas. So here, as you can see on the picture, it boosts employees' productivity, wherein the members of the organization will be excited to work hard in a group. Workload and resources. First, let's talk about workload. Excessive workload demands can undermine creative efforts. On the other hand, some degree of pressure or urgency can have a positive influence. This is according to Amabile, 1988. Part of the issue seems to be whether the time and workload pressure is externally imposed as a form of control, in which case it would tend to hamper creativity, or on the positive side, this is the urgency and challenge come from the person's perception of the problem or the work itself, in which case creativity can be enhanced. The resources allocated to a project also can affect creativity. The obvious effect of extreme resource restriction is to limit what people can accomplish. However, if an organization does not commit adequate resources to a particular project or task relative to others, then that also can have a psychological effect in that it may lead to the belief that the work is not valued or considered important by the organization. Of course, money is not the only resource that can be invested in creative efforts. Another way in which organizations can emphasize creativity is to provide the time needed to think about problems and to develop innovative solutions. Positive emotions foster creativity, and creativity fosters positive emotions. Based from the study or research of Amabile, Barsade, Mueller, and Stowe 2005 showed that positive emotions can lead people to discard time-tested ideas and think in novel ways. They also found that individuals who are successful with creative problem solving often experience positive emotions as a result. According to Davis 2009, there are many ways to enhance positive emotions at work, including using humor, eliminating extreme workload pressures, making sure groups have some members with positive effect, meditation, and even providing background music. Castro, Gomez, and De Souza 2012 said that the leaders who demonstrate emotional intelligence are also most likely to foster creativity in their organization. As what I have experienced, managers or school heads who are always there to motivate you greatly affects your work positively. Let's move on to our next subtopic, which is the techniques for improving creativity. Creative skills can be enhanced by learning and practicing. Both business and government organizations use creative training to build and foster creativity approaches and skills. The following subsections offer a sampling of some of the tools used in organizations to enhance creativity. The first one is the idea box or matrix. Number 2, synectics. Number 3, mind mapping. And number 4, design thinking. In matrix analysis, a two-dimensional idea box is used to explore new ideas or alternatives. It is according to Miller, 1987. As you can see on the picture, there are 4 steps in generating an idea box. The first one is specifying your purpose or what you are trying to accomplish. The second one is identifying the parameters of the problem. The third one is listing variations. And the fourth one is trying different combinations. For example, consider a situation in which your purpose is to gain citizen input and involvement in the city's recreation department. But you are not sure how to do it, and resource limitations are such that you will be limited in the number of approaches you can use. You could begin by asking yourself what the parameters of the problem might be. For example, perhaps you could consider methods of input, timing, or frequency, subjects, and target groups as your parameters. For each of those parameters, you would develop options. Methods of input might include citywide open meetings, neighborhood, forums, mailed questionnaires, or suggestion boxes. For target groups, you might think about seniors, teenagers, preschool children, and business people. Just always remember that the purpose of the idea box is simply to get you to start thinking about multiple options. The second one is synectics. Synectics is a technique developed by Gordon 1961 for improving creative problem solving. The word synectics means joining together different and apparently unconnected or irrelevant elements. And how does synectics work? Remember that the goal is to find new courses of action to be implemented. Its implementation is ensured as the person involved in its execution will choose them. In order to achieve it, two clear strategies are used. Number one is by making the strange familiar, and the second one is by making the familiar strange. Making the strange familiar is a purely analytical strategy where the problem and its ramifications are examined in order to adapt it to the day-to-day world, analyzing the breakdown of its parts. Where also it makes use of the generalization to identify significant aspects and the essential characteristic of the problem. The third one, models or analogies are sought to take it to a similar or familiar ground. Making the familiar strange is to distort the day-to-day world and get a new view of reality. This will alter our perceptions. Several techniques are used to this end. Personal analogy, direct analogy, fantasy analogy, symbolic analogy, games with words, meanings, and definitions, and games to render laws ineffective. The next one is mind mapping. Mind mapping is a way of linking key concepts using images, lines, and links. As you can see on the image, a central concept is linked via lines to other concepts, which in turn are linked with other associated ideas. Mind mapping uses the concept of radiant thinking. That is, thoughts radiate out from a single idea, often expressed as an image. The last one is design thinking. It includes empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And the first one, empathize, it is to learn about the audience for whom you are designing by observation and interview. The second one is define. It is to create a point of view that is based on user needs and insights. The third one is to brainstorm. Brainstorm and come up with as many creative solutions as possible. The fourth one is the prototype. Prototype is to build a representation of one or more of your ideas to show to others. The last one is to test. To test is to share your prototyped idea with your original user for feedback. In human behavior in organization, it is also important that you support or manage your personal creativity. Yes, it is important to think the types of things that help to foster creativity in others, but it is also worthwhile to think about them as things that we can do for ourselves. In enhancing your personal creativity, this is the most important thing that we must consider. It is being aware. Okay, so to be creative, it often is necessary to have an understanding of the current situation. What are the facts? What information is available? And to think that this is the most important. After all, as noted earlier, creativity is the development of novel and useful ideas. And how can we know what is novel or useful if we do not know how things work at present? Be persistent in your vision and values. Applying consistent energy in a particular direction increases the probability of realizing your goals. A vision or purpose or goal guides our efforts and motivates us to be persistent. Creativity is, at its core, a personal enterprise in that it brings forth something that you as an individual value. So, maintaining a vision requires self-reflection. The creation of a clear idea or picture of what you want to accomplish and a conscious investment of energy. The next one is to consider all of your alternatives. In here, you dream up as many ideas as you can. In here also, it is imposed to do not rush to find a solution. Avoid mental idea killers also, such as when we say to ourselves, "Oh, that will never work. That's dumb." Or, "We already tried that and it didn't work." Okay, so keep our evaluation positive. Okay, so another thing here is by combining ideas that at first seem unrelated. It is called remote associations. When we say remote associations, it is a good way of thinking outside the box. Entertain your intuition. Allow your intuition to give the answers that you are seeking. Okay, when we say intuition, it is what we so-called our sixth sense. Okay, it is our instinct. So first is to relax and allow your mind to work. So creativity involves hard work, but the importance of the intuitive part of the creative process cannot be overlooked. So your intuitive self compiles information and creates new images and symbols that can lead to a new inspirations. Assess your alternatives. In evaluating your alternatives, two factors are critical. First, be open to the best solution. Let go of your ego, hidden agendas, desire for a convenient solution, and even self-interest in considering what the best solution might be. Second, use not only your analytical abilities, but also your intuition or gut feelings, instinct, in evaluating alternatives. Are you excited about the idea? Or does it feel right? Be realistic in your actions. If your creation is to be realized as an innovation, then it usually requires you to take action. So the greatest idea will be unlikely to go anywhere unless someone sells it, works out the details, and implements it. Even Einstein had to defend his data and ideas. New ideas have to be supported as they are being formed, then effectively communicated to others. Once you are committed to an idea, share that commitment with others and figure out how to accomplish or put it into practice what you have envisioned. The last one is to evaluate your results. Self-reflection is important. Many of us want external praise and rewards for our creative efforts. It also is important to set up constructive feedback for yourself. For most of us, the creative process needs a point of completion when we acknowledge what we have accomplished and the results we have achieved. even if things do not turn out as we hope they might. Self-reflection allows us to evaluate the parts of the process that did and did not work well. We are moving on to our last subtopic under fostering creativity and innovation, which is the ways of acting. Because creativity is one of the greatest and most important personal and organizational resources, it should be nurtured, supported, and encouraged. A number of practical steps can be taken to bolster your own creativity as well as to encourage the creativity of others in organizations. So these methods are highlighted in what follows. Debunk the myths of creativity. All people have creative potential. It is not limited to the artistic or unusual among us. Different people can contribute to the creative process in different ways, all of which are important and constructive for organizations and the people who work in them. Moreover, creativity needs not be feared as too risky for public service. Creativity involves the development of novel and useful or appropriate ideas. To be creative in organizations, we need not to embrace or implement the bizarre or unusual for its own sake. Rather, creative is about using imagination to make things work better. The second one is to change your vocabulary. Changing your vocabulary from negative to positive. Nothing squashes creativity faster than a negative response. Killer phrases such as yes, but, we already tried that and it didn't work, and we can't do that can be substituted with phrases such as yes, and we made it. Remember that it is important not only to use these creativity building phrases with others, but also to use them in our self-talk. Do not fall into the trap of being overly critical of your own ideas. Instead, consciously invite yourself to suspend judgment and be mentally receptive to your own ideas. The third one is to use participatory management approaches. Using these approaches can increase intrinsic motivation and allow you to actively encourage creative thinking as part of the decision-making process. Creative collaboration is enhanced when everyone understands that a democratic process for generating ideas can lead to something unexpected and valuable. This means that the contributions of people at all levels of the organization can be useful, regardless of rank, seniority, or position. Over-controlling supervisory approaches have been shown to hamper creativity. Open participatory approaches can encourage creativity and the willingness to try new things. Make time and information available for creativity and innovation. Information fuels creativity by triggering the imagination and providing the foundations of innovation. Make sure that people have the information they need to think creatively, but also realistically about finding new and better ways of doing their jobs and meeting organizational and community challenges. Analyze your organizational climate. Ask yourself the following questions. Does your organizational climate encourage or hinder creativity? Are interactions between people characterized by trust and respect? Are new ideas welcomed and encouraged? Do people feel safe in asking questions and making suggestions? Are they treated as capable and competent adults? Is supervision characterized by control and micromanagement or by guidance, support, and openness? Are people allowed to follow their interests? Does the organization provide enough flexibility to take advantage of differing talents, abilities, and interests? Within a framework of a shared vision and organizational goals, are people encouraged to do what they love and love what they do? Relax and let your mind work. There is a point in the creative process when you just need to allow the mind to work, letting your subconscious make new connections and recombinations of ideas. This means that taking a short walk, doodling, or simply taking a mental break can be important in allowing creative ideas to emerge in your mind. Laughter also can be a good way of breaking down barriers and relaxing your mind. It is not only okay to laugh and have fun at work, but it actually can help you to work more effectively and creatively. Use techniques and tools to foster creativity. Use techniques and tools to foster your own creativity as well as that of others. A sampling of techniques I discussed earlier or I said earlier included the idea boxes, mind mapping, and synectics. This and other tools can help you and others to stimulate your creativity. Training programs also are available to build creative thinking skills. When using these techniques and tools, do so within the overall framework of fostering trust, mutual respect, collaboration, and support for the creative process. Identify problems that need creative solutions and challenge yourself and others to find answers. Creativity requires a willingness to look at what is and consider what might be. This willingness can be encouraged by explicitly identifying issues and problems and by asking people to contribute creative energy to addressing them. If your behavior and language convey the idea that the current way is the best way, then people might be hesitant to make suggestions or ask questions. So ask people to be creative and to imagine what could be new solutions to existing problems or how to make a good process or service better. Make work interesting and do not over-supervise. Ask yourself what you can do to make your work and your employees' work more complex, challenging, and interesting. Creativity is enhanced when people have choices in their work and when they feel challenged to do complex and important tasks. Allowing workers to have some flexibility and discretion in how they will accomplish work tasks creates situations that invite innovation, experimentation, and creative approaches. Too much routine and repetition can drive the creative impulse underground. So try to avoid unnecessarily controlling or over-specifying how someone must accomplish a particular objective. Leave room for innovation and improvement. The last but not the least is number 10. Challenge yourself and others to be creative. Public service demands and challenges in to be creative. It is important to periodically remind yourself and others of the significance of what public servants do for their communities, their states, and their country. Public sector organizations are not charged with solving easy problems. Rather, public service is focused on addressing some of the messiest, most difficult, and most complicated problems that society faces. We would suggest that despite their complexity and difficulty, These problems are the most important ones. In the middle of work demands, deadlines, and routines, it is important not to lose sight of the fact that public service is intrinsically valuable and important to making our communities and world a better place in which to live. In other words, what we do matters. And it deserves and demands our most creative, energetic, and imaginative efforts to do it well. And that is all for our report under Fostering Creativity and Innovation. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.